For this video, we are going to focus on using generative AI for images. We're going to use two of the most popular tools that are out there, Stable Diffusion and Midjourney. If you haven't already checked it out, there's a previous video using Photoshop and their generative AI feature, but that is actually editing existing photography. We're going to use Stable Diffusion and Midjourney to generate new images using AI. It's pretty awesome. There are some areas where it's not quite as impressive as you would hope, but it'll also blow you away. So let's dive in. I have spent some time, and I will admit setting up Midjourney is a little strange. So if you go to Midjourney's website, what you'll notice is to join the beta, the entire interface is, at least currently, through Discord. So a lot like Slack, you have this Discord feed where people are entering prompts and then getting their response. And so you jump into a different chat room and you can see activity that other people are doing and interface with your own stuff. So the interface is strange because total strangers creating stuff, and I can see what they created and all of that, but it's also kind of interesting, and I'm seeing how other people are using it and then getting some ideas for myself. So I gained access, and before I jumped in and put in my credit card to get a pro account, I came across this image, which is Vladimir Putin in a tutu dancing with a flamingo. And as you look at this, it's pretty great. Of course, Vladimir Putin, who is the current leader of Russia, and then with a flamingo. And what you'll notice is even within the prompt, they used the flamingo style to make the tutu look more like a flamingo. It's pretty clever. There's also kind of creepy. It looks like he's holding this flamingo like a dart. So plenty of hallucinating going on. So this is Midjourney and their Discord interface for their generative AI. So I'm going to take this prompt, and this is the prompt that they used for Midjourney, and actually put it into another tool, which is Stable Diffusion. Now, Stable Diffusion, on their homepage, you can actually enter your prompt. So I'm going to take that same prompt and see what we get with Stable Diffusion. Entering a prompt in Stable Diffusion, your response doesn't take quite as long. So the Midjourney can take a little bit, but also you'll notice the results aren't as good, right? This is the response from Stable Diffusion with the same prompt compared to the Midjourney response, which is of way higher quality. When I arrived, I started, playing around and considering how I might be able to use this. And some of these are all kinds of wild submissions from other people. But what you'll notice, I'm gonna come down to one of my first prompts, and some of the most compelling art I've seen had these color explosions. There was somebody in here who was trying to get some version, which I believe the original photo was of themselves, and generating these wild creatures they tried over and over again. Okay, so this was one of the pieces of art that I generated. Again, completely generated using a prompt and had this color explosion effect. What I noticed though was the image that I gave it didn't really know the kind of size and shape. Maybe it wasn't pulling from a deep enough sample size. And so I asked for a sample of something it probably had a lot of, which was Jeff Bezos, who is the founder and former CEO of Amazon, and had a little color explosion going on. I think my personal preference is this top right image, maybe the bottom right also just look very much like Bezos. And it got me thinking. And so I started falling down this rabbit hole here of, okay, what could I get him doing? Like the color run. You can see there's some good stuff. His face doesn't look quite right. This doesn't actually look like Jeff Bezos if you've seen him before. And then it reminded me of something I've done a couple videos on using generative AI, and that is for my kids' running club. And so I was wondering, could I create an illustration using generative AI for a poster or something I could use for that running club? So this became a couple variations of the Jeff Bezos running, but this time as an illustration. And I tried one or two more times to get it right. And then I tried to get a young kids running club. And I looked at this and hit it out of the park. What's strange to me is I asked for an illustration and it gave me this real photo, but the other ones I think are amazing. This bottom left just screams energy and excitement and fun, and it's very much what I was going for. And so I spent a little bit of time, this terminology underneath an image. It looks like you can do kind of a deep dive or like a refinement on the existing tiles. So top left is 1, top right is 2, bottom left is 3, bottom right is 4. And so I can have it focus on just one image and refine it, or I can get variations of a certain one. So I asked for a bunch of variations. This first one that I clicked was a variation, like V3, right? So I wanted a variation of the third photo, and it gave me a bunch of different ones. What's wild is they kind of looked like the kid was screaming and they could have been running in fear. And so I played around with different, could I feed this whole group of photos back into Midjourney and get a response. Dove a little bit deeper, started to refine some other images. One thing I want to call your attention to, if you were to look closely, is hands. And I've known this was coming, and so I'm usually, when I look at hands that are generated with AI, I'm always counting the fingers, because sometimes you'll have 6 fingers, or in some cases, which right here is one of them, the hand is just not there. Pretty wild. Went down this rabbit hole and I pulled out those images, and that was great. And then I started thinking, okay, what else could I do? And so I wanted, can I go the other way of taking an illustrated thing and bring it into real life? And so the real life image of the illustrated characters from Despicable Me, the Minions. That bottom right is pretty creepy, definitely not a children's film anymore. And then I was wondering, okay, could I refine them? Some of the refinements aren't that impressive. There's not a lot you can do there. I tried to get it, if you're familiar with the children's story of the VeggieTales, or those characters from that series, I imagined, like, in my mind, the VeggieTales and the Minions like dueling it out, right, for the hearts and the minds of children everywhere. And it didn't like that. It gave me like a family photo of the Minions with vegetables. You do have these random, this Minion doesn't have an eye, and just kind of strange. All right, so I said, okay, maybe it doesn't have enough data to pull from for VeggieTales. Maybe it wasn't trained on any of that data. It just tried veggies. And so I was like, okay, well, the 7 dwarves have to be more common, or just as common as the Minions. And so I tried that battle scene, but with the 7 dwarves. Still no luck, not a lot of progress here. You'll notice even some of these hallucinations, like, okay, that's not even a minion. Where are his arms? Some pretty wild stuff. The stable diffusion comes nowhere close. So if you're wondering, okay, Morgan, but how would you try this in Stable Diffusion, which is an alternative for generative AI? I'm gonna actually try this here so we can do it real time. So I'm gonna grab that same prompt. All right, so yeah, quality is just not quite the same. Maybe there is a use case where it would be a little bit better, but for the most part, Midjourney is the winner. It's doing a lot better job. Now I wanna call your attention to something new. All right, we get so worried when we see new technology of it taking away jobs and opportunity, but keep in mind that new opportunity also pops up. There is a tool that a friend of mine clued me in on, which is Prompt Base. This is a place where you can go and purchase prompts and in order to get certain results that you want. So you'll notice most of these here are Midjourney, but there's also some ChatGPT prompts and all kinds of things here. And so what I did to test it out is I purchased a prompt. So I found this one, which is a retro American comic, and it gave me this prompt. So I'm gonna go test it out. It does take a little bit of time to get up to speed with Midjourney and how to interface with the tool, but if you type / and then if you type imagine, and then it will allow you to put in your prompt. Now, if you wanna put in your own image and ask it to manipulate that image, you have to first upload the image, get the URL that it gives you, and then put that into the prompt, and then tell it what it wants to do. So a little finagling here of how you can do images with Midjourney, but we're gonna do this. We're gonna take this prompt and see how this goes. There is quite a delay, so I'm not gonna make you wait, but what you'll notice is you're kind of queued up, so I'm waiting to start. Yeah, the prompt is now loaded, and it's showing me the percentage of completion, and then obviously the whatever processing speed they give me. All right, I think the issue here is I spelled Jeff Bezos wrong, so it's not gonna be able to make sense of something that is completely nonsensical. So let me try again. And then here we go. I can see a list or a collection here of the different Jeff Bezos images in the style that I pre-selected. Most of them don't really look like Jeff. The bottom one is maybe the best. And so what I'm gonna do is ask for different versions of number 3, and it will regenerate those. A little more information about Midjourney. You can have a paid subscription, and they will cap the number of images that you can generate per month, I believe, and then you can pay more to be able to generate more. They also give you different processing speed. You can pay annually. There's all kinds of ways of slice and dicing it. Now that my different options have been rendered, I'm not exactly sure if it looks, maybe they look very Bezos. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go ahead and just pick the first one, and then it's going to refine or upscale the image that I chose, and then give me back the main one. And there you have it. For this video, we dove into Midjourney, which uses Discord to interface with their generative AI. We also took a look at Stable Diffusion, as well as a marketplace, Prompt Base, where you can purchase prompts that other people wrote to get certain results. Until next time.